The alien queen and her army begged for help, fearing no one would respond until help arrived. The galaxy had grown quiet in ways that made even the oldest starfarers uneasy. Light years stretched between systems, and while many planets thrived, some lived under shadows that no one dared approach. Zarathis was one of those shadows. It was a planet of soaring towers and deep crystalline forests, ruled for centuries by the alien queen, Velira. Her people were proud, disciplined, and skilled in ways that often made other civilizations wary. But pride did not protect a planet from the wrath of the Zarathians, a relentless swarm species that consumed everything in its path. Velira stood on the high balcony of her royal command chamber, her antennae twitching as she surveyed the burning horizon. Smoke rose from the cities, twisting into dark plumes that turned the skies into a canvas of gray and orange. The Zarathian forces had arrived in waves, tearing through outer settlements and leaving only ash. Her advisors moved quickly around her, their movements tense, voices rising and falling as they tried to maintain order amidst chaos. "Your Majesty," one of the generals said, his tone sharp but weary, "our perimeter is collapsing. The outer districts will be lost by nightfall if we do not act." Velira did not immediately respond. She had faced threats before, but nothing like this. The Zarathians were organized differently from ordinary invaders. They communicated as a hive, their actions seamless and coordinated. The traditional defensive strategies of Zarathis were inadequate, and the losses were mounting. Yet even as the cities fell, Velira's mind worked quickly, calculating, adapting. Panic was a luxury she could not afford. "We have fortified the central districts, Your Majesty," another advisor added, her voice trembling slightly. "But reinforcements are impossible without outside help." Velira's eyes narrowed. She had always believed in the strength of her own people. Zarathisians had survived countless threats over centuries, relying on their courage, discipline, and advanced technology. Asking for help from outsiders had never seemed necessary, yet now the situation left her no choice. The survival of her planet depended on it. "Send the messages," she commanded finally, her voice firm despite the weight of her fear. "To every nearby system, every possible ally. If they will not come, we shall face extinction alone, but they must be given the chance." Her advisors hesitated. Asking for help was dangerous. Most civilizations were too distant, too indifferent, or too suspicious of Zarathis to respond. But the Queen's decision was final. The communications officers began transmitting messages through every possible channel. Encrypted signals, long-range pulses, and even old interstellar relay stations that had not been used in decades. Hours passed. The Zarathian swarm pressed closer to the core cities, and Velira watched as her people prepared for a fight that might be their last. Soldiers checked weapons, repaired drones, and fortified barricades. Citizens evacuated when possible, guided by emergency protocols that the Queen had perfected over her reign. Despite the fear in the air, Velira's presence provided a stabilizing force. Her calm determination reassured those around her that survival was still possible, even against an overwhelming enemy. Far from Zarathis, in the human-controlled sectors of the galaxy, a reconnaissance ship called Horizon Dawn was moving quietly through space. Its crew, experienced in long-distance exploration and first contact protocols, suddenly intercepted an unusual signal. At first, it appeared as a series of pulses too irregular to be intentional communication. But as the ship's systems decoded the patterns, it became clear that this was a distress signal, and it was urgent, desperate, and unmistakably alive. Captain Alara Jensen leaned over the console, studying the signal, her brow furrowed as she interpreted the data. "This isn't a routine call for assistance," she said. "It's coming from a planetary system outside our usual patrol sectors. The frequency patterns, they suggest organized life, and something, fear, may be behind it." Lieutenant Milo re-glanced over her shoulder. "Do we even know if it's safe? It could be a trap, a signal set to lure ships into ambush." Alara shook her head, her mind already racing. "We've trained for first contact, but this isn't just first contact. This is someone begging for help. We can't ignore it. If we do, lives could be lost, millions, maybe more." The crew worked quickly, plotting a course to the source of the signal. The Horizon Dawn was equipped for speed and precision, capable of altering course at a moment's notice. Within hours, the humans were approaching the system containing Zarathis, unaware of the true scale of the battle awaiting them. Back on Zarathis, the first Zarathian wave had reached the city outskirts. Their machines were bizarre and terrifying, constructed of materials that shimmered and shifted as if alive. They moved with a precision that made human tactics look crude. Velira directed her troops, her mind a blur of calculations and contingencies. Drones fired from above, energy barriers held off the initial assaults, and squads of soldiers moved through the streets, engaging the invaders. Yet even with her people's skill, the Zarathians were adapting. Every tactic the defenders tried seemed to be countered within minutes. The Queen realized that without outside help her planet's fall was inevitable. "Keep sending the signals," she instructed again. "Somewhere out there, someone must hear us. Someone must care enough to act." Hours turned into what felt like days. Velira's advisors monitored the communication systems relentlessly, sending out repeated pulses, changing frequencies, trying to bypass cosmic interference. The Zarathians continued their advance, and reports of casualties and destroyed infrastructure poured in. Citizens hid wherever they could, some seeking refuge in tunnels beneath the cities, others in massive crystalline towers that had once been safe havens. Despite the chaos, a glimmer of hope appeared on the communication screens of the Horizon Dawn. The crew detected a response, faint, uncertain, but unmistakable. The humans had received the signal. Captain Alara's face lit with a determined expression. "Plot a course to Zarathis, we move immediately." Back on Zarathis, the alien queen noticed subtle changes in the swarm's formation, as if the creatures were aware of an approaching force. She could not see the humans yet, but instinct told her that someone was coming. It was a fragile hope, but hope itself was a weapon. As night fell over the cities, the alien streets were filled with activity. Soldiers reinforced barricades, civilians moved under cover, and drones hovered silently, scanning for Zarathian activity. Velira walked among her troops, offering words of encouragement and strategy. "Hold fast," she said. "Even in darkness there is light. Even in despair there is hope. Stand together and we may survive." The humans' approach added an unseen weight to the Queen's strategy. She did not yet know who would arrive or how many, but knowing that someone might intervene allowed her to focus her energy on tactical decisions rather than despair. Finally, just before dawn, the first human ships appeared on the horizon. Small at first, then larger as they moved closer, their hulls reflecting the twin suns of Zarathis. Energy shields glimmered as the ships assumed positions above the cities, scanning the ground for threats. Velira observed them with cautious curiosity. Humans were strange creatures, unfamiliar to her species in form and technology, yet their presence radiated strength. They did not simply hover in orbit. They acted as though they intended to fight, to protect, and to assist. The realization brought a weight of relief she had not allowed herself in decades. Ilara Jensen, standing on the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, watched the planet grow larger on the viewport. Her crew worked quickly to assess the battle below, identifying enemy clusters and civilian zones. "This is going to be dangerous," she said quietly, "but we can do this. We have to." As the first rays of Zarathis' sun illuminated the city towers, Velira's soldiers braced themselves for the continuation of the battle. This time, though, they were not alone. Somewhere in the stars, humans had answered the call. And for the first time in many hours, the alien queen allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps, just perhaps, survival was possible. The Zarathians, unaware of the approaching reinforcements, surged forward with the same unrelenting aggression. Energy beams cut through the air and buildings shook under the impact of attacks. Yet amidst the chaos, the soldiers of Zarathis fought with renewed vigor. They had hope, and hope was a weapon the Zarathians had never understood. Captain Alara coordinated her fleet, directing drones and smaller fighter ships to support key defensive positions. Humans landed squads of Marines equipped with advanced exosuits that allowed them to maneuver quickly and withstand heavy damage. They fought alongside Zarathisians, who had never experienced such coordination with outsiders. The battle lines were forming, and for the first time there was a chance to turn the tide. As the morning sun climbed higher, Velira stood at the forefront of the city walls, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The Zarathians advanced, relentless as ever, but the humans had arrived. The combined force of two species, united in purpose, was about to challenge the swarm in a way they had never anticipated. Valira took a deep breath, steadying herself. This battle would not be easy. There would be losses, fear, and uncertainty. But for the first time in hours, or maybe even centuries, she believed that the impossible might just be within reach. The arrival of the humans had shifted the balance on Zarathis, but the battle was far from over. From orbit, the human ships glimmered like silver sentinels against the burning sky, their shields casting a faint blue light over the cities below. Captain Alara Jensen guided her fleet into strategic positions, scanning for signs of Zarathian command ships, while her crew worked to coordinate with the alien defenses. On the ground, the Zarathian swarm pressed closer. Their twisted, insect-like machines moved with terrifying precision, converging on every defensive point the Zarathisians had established. Soldiers fired plasma rifles and launched energy grenades, but the Zarathians seemed to anticipate every move. Buildings shuddered under bombardment, and some streets were blocked by debris that forced defenders to redirect their efforts. Civilians huddled in reinforced shelters, and automated drones patrolled the skies, creating a fragile layer of protection. Valira moved through the command center of her palace, communicating with her generals and squads across the city. Her antennae quivered as she processed information at lightning speed. Every Zarathian formation, every tactic, every attack vector was accounted for in her mind. She relayed instructions quickly, changing strategies in real time, but even her people could sense the weight of desperation behind the orders. Then, from the sky, a new presence entered the battlefield. Human drop pods streaked through the atmosphere, each carrying elite Marines equipped with exosuits designed for speed, agility, and survival under extreme conditions. They landed in calculated zones, avoiding the densest parts of the Zarathian swarm, and quickly set up energy barriers and advanced targeting systems. The first encounter was chaotic. A squad of Zarathisians and humans clashed with a small cluster of Zarathians, who had broken through an outer barricade. Despite the fear, the two forces moved in harmony. Humans provided long-range firepower and tactical oversight, while the aliens used their knowledge of the terrain to flank the attackers. In minutes, the Zarathians were forced to retreat, leaving behind damaged machinery and scattered troops. It was a small victory, but it boosted the morale of the defenders. Valira observed the interaction carefully. She had never fought alongside humans before. They were strange creatures, upright and fragile-looking, yet their presence carried confidence and skill. The humans' willingness to engage, their rapid problem-solving, and their ability to adapt in real time were qualities the Queen recognized immediately. Her respect for them grew with every passing moment. Captain Alara, monitoring the battlefield from her flagship, studied Valira's movements. She realized that the alien queen was not merely a leader, but a strategist of remarkable caliber. Every maneuver of the Zarathisian troops was purposeful, every counterattack precise. It was as if she could anticipate the Zarathians' next move before it even happened. "Valira's good," Milo re-whispered to another crew member, pointing to the queen coordinating a counterstrike. "Really good. If anyone can survive this, it's her." Alara nodded. "And now she has us. That combination might just work." Communication between humans and Zarathisians was initially awkward. Language barriers and cultural differences slowed coordination, but technology bridged the gap. Translators and energy-linked communication devices allowed real-time messaging. Humans could see tactical maps of the city's defenses, while Valira's soldiers could understand instructions and warnings almost instantly. Slowly, the two forces began to operate as a single unit, their movements synchronized, their actions complementary. In one section of the city, a massive Zarathian machine advanced, its armor glinting as it moved toward a civilian district. Human Marines, alerted by drones, set up a defensive perimeter and called for Zarathisian reinforcements. A combined team of soldiers and Marines engaged the machine from multiple angles. Explosions rocked the streets as energy shields absorbed impact after impact. The Zarathian machine was formidable, but it was not invincible. By exploiting its blind spots and coordinating attacks, the defenders managed to bring it down, sending debris flying into the streets. Civilians cheered from their shelters, their fear giving way to cautious hope. Valira allowed herself a moment to breathe. This small victory reminded her of what her people were capable of, especially when working together with allies. She sent a message to Captain Alara, acknowledging their effectiveness. Humans responded quickly, expressing their willingness to continue fighting, and Velira's confidence in the alliance deepened. But the Zorathians were not idle. From the shadows of the city, more of their machines emerged. Faster, more resilient, and larger than the first wave, they moved with a coordinated intelligence that tested every defensive measure. Velira adjusted her strategy, splitting her forces into rapid response units while humans established temporary command hubs at strategic points. The city became a hive of activity, a battlefield where every street, every building, and every tower played a role in the defense. In the midst of the chaos, Velira noticed a young alien soldier trapped under debris from a collapsing building. Without hesitation, she moved through the smoke and fire, lifting the heavy rubble with her strength. The soldier looked up at her, eyes wide with gratitude, and Velira felt a surge of determination. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a fight for her people, for their future, and for the hope that had arrived with the humans. Meanwhile, human engineers were setting up devices that could interfere with the Zorathian communication network. If successful, these devices would disrupt the swarm's coordination, giving the defenders a significant advantage. The engineers worked under constant threat, their suits shielding them from attacks, but the danger was real. Every Zorathian that detected their presence sent reinforcements to eliminate the threat. Yet the humans pressed on, understanding the stakes and the potential impact of their work. Alara and Velira met briefly in the command hub. The Queen's eyes were sharp, calculating, yet there was a spark of gratitude. "Your people are brave," Velira said. "They fight as if they belong here, as if this planet were their own." Alara shook her head. "We are only here because you called for help. You had the courage to reach out when no one else might have. That courage matters as much as any weapon." The two leaders exchanged a nod of mutual respect. Despite differences in species, culture, and history, they shared a common understanding. Survival required unity, strategy, and trust. As the day progressed, the battle intensified. The Zorathians shifted tactics, sending smaller, faster units to probe weaknesses in the defense lines. Human snipers took positions on rooftops, targeting key threats, while Zorathian warriors executed precise flanking maneuvers. The streets echoed with the sounds of combat, energy blasts, explosions, and the occasional roar of victory as Zorathian units were destroyed. In one district, a group of civilians had become trapped by a collapsing bridge. A combined team of humans and aliens worked together to rescue them. The humans used portable lift devices and energy tools to remove debris, while the aliens provided cover, using agility and speed to fend off approaching threats. The operation was tense and dangerous, but every life saved strengthened the defenders' resolve. By evening, both sides were exhausted. The Zorathians had suffered heavy losses, yet they continued to advance, relentless as ever. Velira realized that the fight would continue through the night. She and Alara coordinated a defensive perimeter around the central city, combining alien energy shields with human long-range weapons to create a layered defense system. During a brief lull, Velira addressed her soldiers. "You have fought with courage beyond measure," she said. "The humans have come to our aid, but it is your strength, skill, and will that keep our cities standing. Together, we are more than a sum of our parts. Together, we can survive this." Her words resonated with the troops. Even in the face of fear, morale rose. Humans and aliens shared glances, gestures of encouragement, and quiet affirmations of trust. Bonds formed quickly under pressure, and for the first time, many Zorathians felt that they were not alone in their fight. At nightfall, the Zorathians launched their next major assault. Waves of swarm units advanced, their glowing eyes and metallic limbs cutting through the darkness. But the defenders were ready. Humans fired energy disruptors that temporarily disabled the Zorathians, hive-mind signals, while Zorathian squads used terrain and agility to outmaneuver the attackers. Explosions lit the night sky, illuminating the bravery and coordination of the combined forces. Captain Alara and Velira monitored the battle closely. Their strategic planning had allowed them to anticipate many of the Zorathians' moves, but the swarm was adaptive. Every tactic forced new decisions, every victory was temporary. Yet in the midst of the chaos, hope endured. By the time the first stars appeared in the sky, the city had survived the night. Damage was severe, but the Zorathians had been repelled for now. Soldiers tended to the wounded, civilians emerged from shelters, and temporary command centers were strengthened for the battles to come. Velira took a moment to stand on a balcony overlooking the city. Smoke still rose from destroyed buildings, but lights glimmered in the windows of those that remained intact. The humans had proven themselves, but more importantly, her people had proven themselves. Zarathisians were capable, resilient, and courageous. And now, with allies by their side, they had a chance at survival. Captain Alara approached her briefly, standing beside the queen. "You fought well," she said. "Your people are remarkable. Together we can hold this planet." Velira nodded, antennae flicking with subtle emotion. "Yes, and together we will see the Zorathians driven back. This is only the beginning, but it is a beginning we will not waste." In the quiet aftermath, the Alliance prepared for the next phase. Supplies were distributed, defenses reinforced, and strategies revised. The humans learned more about Zarathisian technology and culture, while the aliens gained insight into human tactics and ingenuity. Each side respected the other's strengths, and a bond of trust began to form, a bond forged in fire, danger, and shared purpose. As the night deepened, the city remained on alert. Patrols continued, and sentries scanned the horizon for any signs of the returning swarm. Velira remained in the command center, studying reports and communicating with field units. The humans stayed in orbit and on the ground, their ships ready to respond at a moment's notice. Though the battle had been intense, the arrival of the humans had changed the trajectory of the fight. Where despair had once threatened to take hold, determination now stood in its place. The Zorathians were powerful, adaptive, and dangerous, but they had underestimated the unity and resilience of Zorathis and the humans who had answered their call for help. Velira's antennae twitched as she scanned the city. She allowed herself a brief moment of relief, knowing that her people had survived another day. The Zorathians would return, undoubtedly stronger and more cunning. But with humans by their side, with courage and strategy, Zorathis now had a fighting chance. Hope had arrived with the humans, and for the first time since the battle began, the alien queen felt that survival was not just a dream. It was possible. The sun rose over Zorathis with an eerie calm, painting the skies in shades of gold and crimson. The city still bore the scars of the previous day's attacks. Smoke curled from broken buildings, and streets were littered with debris. Yet, amidst the ruins, life persisted. Humans and Zarathisians alike moved with purpose, preparing for the next confrontation. The Zorathians would return, as relentless as the tide, and this time the combined forces needed to be ready. Velira moved through the city's command hub, her antennae twitching as she absorbed updates from scouts and patrols. She had analyzed the Zorathians' movements and patterns from the previous night, and now a plan began to take shape. "We know their strengths," she said to her generals, "and we know their weaknesses. Today we strike with precision. We do not simply defend, we take the fight to them." Captain Alara Jensen stood beside her, reviewing tactical maps projected from the humans' portable command units. "We've mapped their main hive units," she said. "If we target them simultaneously, we can disrupt their control and create confusion among their ranks. That will give us the advantage we need." Velira nodded. "Then we coordinate. Every squad, every drone, every human team must act together. Timing will be everything." Soldiers of both species moved into positions across the city. Humans set up energy disruptors and precision weapons on rooftops and strategic points, while Zarathisian squads prepared traps and ambush points along the streets. The civilians were guided to safety zones, and temporary medical stations were established to treat the wounded from both species. The city had become a living, breathing battlefield, organized with intelligence and care. The Zorathians struck just as the twin suns reached their peak. Their swarm descended in waves, faster and larger than before, with towering command units directing the smaller attackers. The streets trembled under the impact of their machines, and energy blasts tore through the air. But this time, the defenders were prepared. Human snipers and Zarathisian marksmen worked in tandem, taking down key targets with precise shots. Drones darted through the air, intercepting smaller units and drawing fire away from soldiers on the ground. Explosions shook the streets as energy disruptors activated, momentarily disrupting the Zorathians' hive-mind signals. Confusion rippled through the swarm, giving the defenders critical seconds to maneuver. Velira led a squad into the heart of the battlefield, her presence a beacon for her troops. She moved with speed and precision, issuing orders and adjusting strategies as needed. Soldiers followed her commands without hesitation, their trust in her absolute. Humans fought alongside them, their advanced exosuits allowing them to move quickly and protect key points. Together, they formed an unstoppable force of coordination and courage. In one district, a massive Zorathian command machine advanced toward the central city square. It was heavily armored and bristling with weapons. Human engineers quickly set up an energy field designed to overload its systems, while Zorathian soldiers engaged it from multiple angles to slow its approach. Velira coordinated the attack, signaling for precise timing. "Now!" she shouted. The combined firepower struck simultaneously. Energy beams from humans, plasma rifles from Zorathians, and explosives from drones hit the command machine in perfect synchrony. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and with a final explosion, the machine collapsed in a heap of shattered parts. Troops cheered, though there was little time to celebrate. The battle raged on around them. Captain Alara and her squad moved through the streets, providing support wherever the Zorathians attempted to regroup. The humans' technology complemented the aliens' agility and knowledge of the terrain. Together, they created choke points and traps that funneled the Zorathians into areas where their strength was diminished. Despite the heavy fighting, the Zorathians adapted quickly. Smaller swarms bypassed defenses, attempting to strike at vulnerable locations. Yet the alliance held. Humans and Zorathians adjusted in real time, closing gaps and reinforcing positions. Every soldier, whether alien or human, understood that coordination was key, and they fought with remarkable unity. In the midst of battle, Velira noticed a group of Zorathians attempting to breach a civilian shelter. Without hesitation, she led a team to intercept them. Humans followed, covering the flanks and providing suppressive fire. The engagement was fierce but brief. The defenders overwhelmed the attackers, saving dozens of civilians. The successful rescue bolstered morale, reminding all that every life saved was worth the risk. Alara observed the Zorathians' command units, noting that their central hive mind signals remained strong but were being stressed by the repeated disruptions. "We're weakening them," she said into her communicator. "If we can strike the main hive core, we can break their coordination entirely." Velira's antennae twitched with determination. "Then we do exactly that. Select the fastest, strongest units for the assault. Timing must be perfect." A team of elite soldiers, human marines and Zorathian commandos, prepared to infiltrate the Zorathians' main command ship, which had landed on the outskirts of the city. They moved swiftly, using shadows and cover to avoid detection. Explosions and combat continued around them, masking their approach. Every step was calculated, every movement precise. Inside the command ship, the Zorathian control core pulsed with energy, regulating the swarm's movements. The infiltration team deployed energy disruptors and precision charges, carefully avoiding security mechanisms. When the devices activated, the control core flickered and surged, disrupting communication among the swarm. The Zorathians' coordinated movements faltered, and the defenders on the streets noticed the change immediately. The human and alien forces seized the opportunity. With the Zorathians, hive mind temporarily weakened. Soldiers pushed forward aggressively, reclaiming lost districts and driving back attackers with renewed vigor. Explosions and energy blasts illuminated the streets as the defenders advanced, reclaiming territory one sector at a time. Velira moved through the reclaimed districts, rallying her troops and providing support wherever needed. Her leadership inspired courage, and her strategic adjustments allowed the combined forces to exploit every weakness in the Zorathians' formations. Humans and aliens fought side by side, their actions coordinated with near-perfect precision. Despite the chaos, moments of humanity and connection emerged. Soldiers helped each other through debris, shared water and medical supplies, and offered quiet words of encouragement. Humans learned to anticipate the aliens' movements, and aliens adapted to the humans' tactics. The battlefield became a place of collaboration, where species differences were set aside in pursuit of survival and victory. As the day wore on, the Zorathians attempted one final assault, a desperate push aimed at the central city. Their swarm was larger than any before, with towering command machines leading the charge. But the defenders were ready. Velira and Alara coordinated a combined counterattack, directing energy disruptors, artillery fire, and ground assaults in perfect synchronization. The battle reached its climax in the central square, where the largest Zarathian command unit advanced toward the city's core. Humans fired energy beams that temporarily disabled its shields, while Zarathian soldiers struck at exposed points with explosives and plasma weapons. Velira led the final charge, cutting through the remaining defenses of the enemy machine. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and with a final coordinated strike, the Zarathian command unit collapsed, sending the remaining swarm into disarray. The remaining Zarathians, confused and uncoordinated, began to retreat. The humans pursued where possible, guiding the aliens in cutting off escape routes, while the Zarathians secured key districts and civilians. The battle that had threatened to destroy Zarathis was finally turning in favor of the defenders. Exhausted but victorious, the combined forces regrouped in the city center. Soldiers tended to the wounded, civilians emerged cautiously from shelters, and temporary medical and supply stations were reinforced. The city, though battered and scarred, had survived. Velira allowed herself a rare moment of relief. The Zarathians had been repelled, their control disrupted, and her people were alive. The humans had proven themselves not only as allies but as indispensable partners in the fight. Their courage, ingenuity, and willingness to risk their lives alongside the Zarathians had changed the course of the battle. Captain Alara approached Velira in the command hub. "Your people fought brilliantly," she said. "And the cooperation we shared, it made all the difference. Zarathis has a chance to survive because of everyone here." Velira inclined her head, antennae twitching with subtle emotion. "You have proven the value of trust, courage, and unity. Today, we fought together, and we won together. That is a lesson my people will not forget." As the city recovered, the humans shared their knowledge of advanced technology and strategic planning with the Zarathians. Training sessions were held, new tactics developed, and defenses reinforced. The bond between the two species grew stronger with every interaction, forming a partnership that extended beyond the immediate battle. Even as Zarathis celebrated its survival, Velira knew that the Zarathians were not finished. They would return, stronger and more determined. But with humans by her side, with the courage and skill of her people, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The planet had endured the first wave of destruction, and now it was ready to prepare for whatever came next. Captain Alara stood on a balcony overlooking the city, watching the fires smolder and the people rebuild. "You have an incredible species," she said quietly. "I've never seen such determination and adaptability. Working together, we can face anything." Velira's antennae twitched in acknowledgement. "And we will. Humanity has shown that even strangers can become allies when the stakes are highest. Today, we survived because we trusted each other. Tomorrow, we will be stronger because of it." Night fell over the city once again, and a quiet settled over Zarathis. The streets were filled with the sounds of rebuilding, conversations, and cautious celebrations. Humans and Zarathians alike shared in the victory, acknowledging the sacrifices made and the courage displayed. For the first time since the Zarathians had arrived, hope took root in the hearts of the people. The battle had been fierce, but it had proven that unity, strategy, and courage could overcome even the most formidable enemy. Zarathis had survived the storm, and its people, alien and human, were ready to face whatever came next together. Velira stood in the command hub one last time before resting. She surveyed the city, the survivors, and the allied forces. The humans had proven their value not just in combat but in spirit. They had arrived when all seemed lost, and their presence had made victory possible. The alien queen allowed herself a rare, contented thought. Even in the darkest moments, help could arrive. And when it did, it could change everything. The city of Zarathis lay in a fragile calm. Smoke still curled from damaged buildings, but the streets were alive with activity. Citizens emerged from shelters, cautiously stepping over debris, carrying supplies, and assisting those in need. Soldiers, both Zarathian and human, patrolled the streets, ensuring safety while tending to the wounded. The aftermath of the Zarathian attack was heavy, but the spirit of the people was stronger. Where fear had once ruled, hope now lingered. Velira moved through the city, observing her people. Her antennae twitched slightly, a subtle sign of relief and pride. The battle had been costly, yet it had also been a turning point. Her army had fought with unmatched courage, and the humans had proven themselves not just as allies but as partners in survival. Every soldier she passed, alien or human, received a nod or a word of encouragement. She understood that leadership was not only about strategy, it was about presence, reassurance, and shared determination. Captain Alara Jensen walked beside her, scanning the area for any remaining threats. "Your people have endured so much," she said. "And yet they still rebuild. I've seen civilizations crumble under less pressure than what Zarathis has faced." Velira's gaze softened. "They fight because they must and because they believe in the future. Today we survive together. Tomorrow we will grow stronger together." The humans had brought technology that helped with the rebuilding process. Portable energy generators restored light and power to essential buildings. Transport drones moved supplies quickly, carrying water, medical kits, and building materials. Engineers and Zarathisian technicians worked side by side, repairing damaged structures and reinforcing defenses. The collaboration was seamless, built on mutual respect and shared purpose. In the central square, a gathering of survivors and soldiers took place. Velira addressed them, her voice amplified by the city's restored communication system. "We have faced a threat unlike any before," she said. "The Zarathians came to destroy us, but they underestimated our courage, our skill, and our unity. Today, we have survived not because of one species, but because we fought together. Humans came to our aid, not for reward, but for hope, and in doing so, they became part of our story, part of our future." The crowd cheered, a mixture of relief and newfound determination. The children of Zarathis clapped and laughed for the first time since the attacks began, their voices blending with the hum of the city's recovery. Soldiers stood proudly, their armor battered but their resolve unbroken. Humans and aliens exchanged nods and quiet smiles, recognizing that they had been through something extraordinary. Velira turned to Alara. "We owe much to your people," she said. "Your courage, skill, and willingness to stand with us changed the outcome. I am grateful." Alara shook her head. "We only did what any of us would do if we received a call for help. But I will admit, your leadership inspired us as much as our technology and training did. Together, we achieved something remarkable." In the following days, the focus shifted from immediate survival to long-term recovery. Temporary shelters were replaced with rebuilt homes, streets cleared of debris, and critical infrastructure restored. Medical teams treated the injured, while engineers repaired the city's energy grids. Humans shared knowledge about advanced construction techniques, environmental control, and energy efficiency. In return, Zarathisians taught humans about local resources, energy systems unique to Zarathis, and methods of rapid mobility that had been perfected over centuries. The exchange of knowledge strengthened the bond between the two species, forming a foundation for a lasting alliance. Velira spent time with her generals and human officers discussing the future. "The Zarathians may return," she said, "but we are no longer alone. We have learned the value of unity, of trust, and of collaboration. Our defenses are stronger and our people are more resilient. Together we can face any threat." Alara nodded. "And we will be ready. Zarathis is worth protecting, and your people have proven themselves courageous, intelligent, and resourceful. They inspire all of us." The cooperation extended beyond the military. Humans assisted in restoring education centers, sharing scientific knowledge and exploration methods. Children from both species learned together, exploring the forests, crystalline towers, and urban areas, discovering both the alien and human perspectives. Cultural exchanges began to flourish. Art, music, and stories were shared, blending the traditions of Zarathis with those of humanity. The process reminded both species that survival was not only about strength, but also about connection and understanding. One evening, Velira walked through a restored district with Alara. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets. Citizens were returning to daily life, children playing in cleared parks and soldiers performing routine patrols. The air was filled with laughter and conversation, a stark contrast to the terror that had gripped the planet weeks before. "It's remarkable how quickly your people recover," Alara said. "Even after such devastation, life returns." Velira nodded, her antennae twitching gently. "Resilience is part of who we are. We adapt, we endure, and we fight. But today, I have learned that resilience grows stronger when we are not alone. Your presence has shown us that trust and cooperation are as powerful as any weapon. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of Zarathisian engineers, who approached with blueprints and devices for a new defensive system. Your Majesty, Captain, one of them said, we have designed a layered energy shield that can protect the city from future attacks. With human assistance, we can deploy it within weeks. Valira examined the plans, her mind already calculating deployment strategies. Excellent. Begin immediately. We cannot predict the Zarathians' next move, but we can prepare for it. Alara studied the blueprints with interest. The combination of our technology and yours will make Zarathis one of the most secure planets in this sector. Any invader will think twice before attacking again. As days turned into weeks, the alliance solidified. Humans and Zarathisians trained together, patrolled together, and strategized together. Communication improved and mutual respect deepened. The citizens of Zarathis began to see the humans not as outsiders, but as partners and friends. Valira held a council meeting to discuss long-term security and cooperation. Representatives of both species attended. Today, we are stronger than we were yesterday, she said. We have faced a threat that sought to destroy us, and we have prevailed. But survival is not enough. We must grow, learn, and prepare for the future. This alliance with humanity is not temporary. It is a bond that will endure, ensuring that Zarathis prospers and that all who live here are protected. Alara addressed the council. Our species may come from different worlds, but our goals are the same: protection, growth, and knowledge. We will continue to share our skills, our technology, and our support. Together, we are stronger than any threat we may face. The council concluded with a plan to expand cooperation. Research centers were established to share scientific discoveries, defensive networks were created to monitor potential threats, and cultural exchanges ensured that the people of both species would learn from each other. The foundation of a lasting interstellar alliance was laid. During one quiet evening, Valira walked along a high balcony overlooking the city. The lights of Zarathis sparkled against the dark sky, a testament to resilience and determination. Humans worked alongside aliens, restoring structures and sharing knowledge. The city, once nearly destroyed, now thrived with renewed energy. She thought back to the day the humans had arrived, answering her desperate call for help. At that moment, the future had seemed uncertain, perhaps even impossible, but their arrival had changed everything. Humanity's courage, skill, and willingness to fight alongside her people had saved countless lives and proven that even across vast distances and differences, cooperation was possible. Valira allowed herself a small smile. The Zarathians had been repelled, the city rebuilt, and her people's spirit renewed. But more than that, a bond had been formed, one that transcended worlds and species. This bond ensured that Zarathis would never face the galaxy alone again. The following months were filled with growth and learning. Humans and Zarathisians explored ways to improve energy efficiency, construct faster transport systems, and enhance communication networks. Cultural festivals celebrated both species, showcasing music, art, and stories. Children played together, learning about the universe, about courage, and about friendship. Trust had become a tangible force, a shield stronger than any technology. Valira held regular meetings with Captain Alara and the human officers, ensuring that coordination remained seamless. They discussed potential threats, shared intelligence, and planned joint explorations beyond Zarathis. The Zarathians were still out there, lurking in distant sectors, but the fear that had once paralyzed the city was gone. In its place was confidence, preparation, and the knowledge that together they could face anything. One day, a group of young Zarathisian soldiers approached Valira. "Your Majesty," one said, "we wish to join the human training sessions. We want to learn more so we can fight better if the Zarathians return." Valira's eyes softened. "Then you shall. Learning is the greatest weapon we possess. Courage alone is not enough. Knowledge, skill, and cooperation are what ensure survival." Alara watched from nearby, impressed by the eagerness of the young aliens. "They will grow strong," she said. "And they will carry forward the lessons of this battle. Zarathis has a future because of all of you." As the planet healed, the bond between humans and Zarathisians strengthened. Trade agreements were established, research collaborations flourished, and communication systems ensured rapid alerts for any future threats. The Zarathians, though still dangerous, would never catch Zarathas unprepared again. Velira often reflected on the moment she had sent the first distress signals. At the time, she had feared they would go unanswered, that her people would face extinction alone. But hope had arrived when it was needed most. The humans had answered, and together they had turned despair into victory. Standing atop the tallest tower, Velira gazed at the stars. "We survived," she said quietly to no one in particular. "Not because we are alone, but because we trusted in others. Today, Zarathas lives and its people will thrive, and we will face the future together, stronger than ever." The humans watched from their ships and training grounds, sharing quiet smiles with the Queen and her people. They knew that their alliance had created something extraordinary, proof that across the stars, courage, trust, and unity could overcome even the most terrifying threats. And so, Zarathas entered a new era. The scars of war remained as reminders of the past, but the hope, knowledge, and bonds formed in its shadow promised a future brighter than any twin suns could illuminate. Humans and Zarathisians would stand side by side, prepared for whatever challenges awaited them in the galaxy. The alien queen had survived, her army had survived, and the arrival of allies had ensured that the story of Zarathas would continue, undaunted, united, and ready for the stars. The galaxy had grown quiet again, but this time, it was a calm of strength, unity, and the knowledge that even in the darkest hours, help could arrive, hope could flourish, and life could endure.